Hey guys, what's up? Destiny Gold back for another review. Today we have the Fang of Iryu. This is the Crota's End Raid Scout Rifle. Now, I really love this weapon. It is one of the best in the game for scout rifles, you ask me. Right up there with Vision of Confluence, if not better than that. Vision of Confluence is a solar weapon. This is an arc damage weapon, so it's kind of a, it's a black and white to that weapon. It does perform differently, but it is still an amazing weapon. So, I want to quickly read off the stats before we get into the perks and the reason why this weapon is amazing. Rate of fire is 37, pretty solid. Impact is 48, very high. Range is 75, very solid. Stability is 49, definitely manageable. And the reload is 67. Pretty fast reload. I haven't ever really had an issue with reload. Now, diving into the perks, you have all three kinds of scope. You have a very nice close range scope called the True Sight IS that I typically use for PvP, where you still have most of the screen open and the magnification is pretty low. Your initial scope, the red dot ORS, I find to be pretty useless. It does have relatively low recoil, but I don't find that it provides a perk that the other two don't do better. The last scope that you unlock is the Focus Lens FLA5. This is a long-range sniper scope, if you want to call it that. I don't actually like the interior of the scope very much. A little circle seems to get in the way when I'm trying to aim precise headshots at range. But overall, I don't think that it impedes the weapon too much, and it still performs much better in PvE with this scope on. It increases the range a little bit, and I really do like that. Next up, we have the most useless perk in the game, Target Mark, and Spray and Play. Spray and Play is not useless. It's one of my favorite perks, actually. It increases the reload speed of this weapon when the magazine is empty. This is really nice, especially if you are trying to use this weapon in close quarters, and you are not using the Field Scout perk that we'll get to in a minute. The Target Mark, basically, when you hit something, it flashes green for a second. And that's about it. I mean, I can't say this thing does anything else. If there's a hidden perk to this perk, then tell me, because I have no idea what this thing actually does. It's pretty useless if you ask me. I can't even see it being useful situationally at best. Next, you have an upgrade to damage, big whoop. Then you have high caliber rounds. I like using this in PvE because it makes it so that it's easier to take down larger enemies alone, where they stagger more easily, and you're able to land more shots without them hitting you back. Then there's Perfect Balance. This is a great perk, it's nice to have, but I don't think it's necessary on this weapon unless you're trying to emulate Vision of Confluence. If you're trying to emulate Vision of Confluence, probably try using Perfect Balance. It will make the stability really high, so you don't have to worry about actually, too much recoil. Next up, there's Field Scout. Now, I like using this one for PvP, so I don't have to look for special ammo as much, and I can hold quite a bit more. It increases the magazine size to a whopping 27. That nearly doubles the base magazine of 15, so I like using that in PvP, not so much in the other PvE areas of the game. So then there's also Third Eye. Third Eye is one of my favorite perks. It keeps your radar up, basically, while you're in scope. I really like having this. It just makes it easier to use, especially in Crucible, where you can stay in scope and you can sort of camp with this weapon if you want. You're not exactly wanting to take people on like point-blank range like you might with an assault rifle or something else, but this is just a really nice perk to have. I think it's really good on the scout rifle especially. Then you have your 4 upgrades for damages, but you also have the Hive Disruptor. This is what makes it particularly useful in the raid, or in a strike that has Hive enemies. Increased damage to Hive Majors. That is just awesome. I love having that. The bonus damage is pretty significant. It's definitely noticeable, and I think it does definitely help when you're trying to take down a lot of those yellow enemies later in the raid if you're doing the hard mode. I think it really helps out a lot. Overall, I think this weapon performs amazingly. Now, obviously, it performs better in PvE because it's a scout rifle than PvP. PvP, scout rifles aren't really used for a reason. They're slow firing, and you need to be very precise with your shots. Maybe not quite as much as hand cannons, but you do need to be able to land your shots very carefully. So, overall, I rate this weapon about a 9 in PvE. It's a really solid weapon. The only downside is I feel like the first kind of perk with the Target Mark, where you could have something better, is kind of wasted. That being said, Spray and Play isn't bad. Other than that, there's not too much that's wrong with this weapon. I like the way it performs a lot. PvP, on the other hand, I have to rate it much lower. Now, it is better than most scout rifles in PvP, so I have to rate it at least a 7.5. That thing is pretty solid, but it's still not great. You could use a lot of other weapons that perform probably a lot better if you're not playing a long-range map. If you're playing a long-range map, this weapon certainly has its place in time. Overall, guys, it's a pretty solid weapon. Thank you for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe, leave your comments below, leave your opinions, and what do you think about this weapon. Thanks for watching. Destiny Gold out.